Welcome to hbrv Lifestyle, the podcast. I am the host, the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as other things. So I went to a RV show in San Diego, California. I got to talk to a lot of people. The sales guys left me alone, but a lot of the folks walking the show, checking out the motorhomes, I got to talk to a lot of you. And I got some great feedback, and I want to actually share that with you and my perspective in this episode. But before I do that, I want to clarify something. There seems to be some confusion about my situation. So I want to quickly clear it up. I'm not going to waste your time. So the timeline. In May of 2023, I was pretty much asked by one of my former employers that I worked for in Pahrump, Nevada, to remove my podcast. Basically, like to give up my podcast, give up my main channel. I know where it came from. I'm not mad at him. I'm not going to blame him. I'm not going to put him on blast. Nothing of that nature, okay? He's under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. What I was doing apparently was adding on to that because here's what was occurring. A RV executive at the factory level, a high-ranking RV executive at the factory level, apparently doesn't like my stuff. And the only thing I'm going to say is no, it's not someone from Grand Design. Surprisingly, shockingly. I'm not going to tell you who it is, who they work for, nothing of that nature. I've extended my olive branch. If the guy doesn't take my olive branch, I'll probably reconsider and expose him. Okay? So what I did was I stewed around for a little bit, and there was some commentary made by the owner of that store to my finance manager, basically stating that either I needed to go or the store needed to close. It wasn't making any money. It wasn't making any sales. It was deader than dead. There's a lot of reasons, okay? So what I did was I decided I'm going to leave on my own accord. I'm not going to get laid off or fired. I'm going to go find another job, or I'm going to go out on my own. So I originally went out on my own, but silently I found a little cool job, okay? Selling used travel trailers, toy haulers, etc., okay? And it gave me the flexibility to go to Nevada, go to Arizona, go to parts of Southern California and film inventory and continue the podcast and continue the main YouTube channel. They laid me off. They fired me on September 19th. Now, that has nothing to do with the RV executive. That has to do with the fact that the economy has slowed down. They thought they needed 5 guys. They didn't really need 5 guys. Laugh out loud. I was a low man on the totem pole. Even with my experience, even with my knowledge, they just decided to take the guy that had been there a year and keep him rather than the guy they had for 2 months. Okay? Cool. So now what's interesting is there's no jobs out there. That's what's interesting. So I have decided I'm going to Uber. I'm going to continue to look for a job. I'm probably going to look for a job outside of the RV industry. But I'm going to continue the channel. I'm going to continue the podcast. I'm going to keep filling you full of information. How I'm going to get the information is through my sources, because people still talk to me. And on top of that, okay, I'm going to go to RV shows because it can't stop me from filming at RV shows. They're public events. And so far, that's a good segue into this show. Okay, so I went to the Del Mar Fairgrounds on Friday, September 20th, which is in San Diego. La Mesa RV was the only dealer there. Now, La Mesa RV is a really interesting dealership because they mainly only sell motorhomes. That's it. They don't sell travel trailers. They don't sell toy haulers. They don't sell fifth wheels for the most part. And from what I gather, again, I could be wrong nowadays, but from what I gather, when they take in, let's say, a travel trailer on trade, they sell it to another dealer or they send it to the auction. They are mainly used motorhomes and new motorhomes. So I got to film a lot of good stuff. I got to film a 2025 Tiffin open road. I got to film a couple of Integras, a leisure van. And I'm going to tell you, the sales guys, when they saw this thing, they left me alone. They didn't even come talk to me. They didn't even ask me any questions. Okay? Not what I was doing, not where I was from. They just kind of let me roam around, which was really cool. I'm really appreciative of that. So if you're one of the sales guys from La Mesa RV that was at the show, thank you for letting me do that. I'm really appreciative. You know, you guys are selling some good products. You know, I always nitpick stuff, but for the most part, the stuff that I saw, the stuff that I filmed, really good products, really good stuff. But it was interesting because as I was filming, people would walk in the motorhome. So there's one video that I'm going to post. I don't show people's faces and I don't film people, but you can hear them in the background talking to me about the rig, and getting their perspective was really cool. I think it's going to make for an amazing video, right? A lot of you that I spoke to never heard of me. That's awesome. I love that because it gives me an opportunity to like give you perspectives of things. But one thing I did get out of it was, out of the probably 30 or 40 couples that I talked to, the majority of you who didn't know about me got your information from either Josh the RV Nerd or Liz Amazing. Those are the two common people. And there's a couple Matt's RV reviews and a couple Andrew Steele's and a couple people. But one thing that the majority of the couples, all but one couple, said is they said, it feels like it's too much of a fairy tale with Josh. Meaning, like, how one guy described it is, he says, I like watching Josh because he's not as in your face as most people, but he says it's too much of a fairy tale. You can tell he's a salesperson. He's a spokesperson for a company now. You know, he said back when he was with his family's dealership, he said, I watched him since the beginning. I've seen a change. Most people have said they've seen a major change in the way Josh does his content. Like, he's now more of a spokesperson for a company than he is an RV educator. I understand that perspective because I feel the same way. Actually, in a very good way, in a very positive way. Whether Josh likes me or not is irrelevant. I like Josh because Josh, even though he's changed with all the Bish's RV stuff, he was the reason why I got into this YouTube thing. He was my inspiration in a very positive way. If Josh the RV Nerd at Haylett RV didn't exist, the Honey Badger wouldn't be on YouTube. You know, the things I tried to fill the gaps of what he didn't talk about. That's how I originally started this channel, or my main channel, I should say, is I was filling in the gaps, right? And then they said that how they get their negative views is from Liz Amazing. And the majority of them, we talked about it, and they feel the same way as I do, like, yeah, she's a necessity, and we need someone like her. But he says, my God, everybody kept telling me, everything is so negative. Everything is so sky is falling, as most of them said. Like, one guy told me straight out, like, man, her stuff is like, the sky is falling, Armageddon's occurring, a meteor shower. He says it reminds me of the movie Armageddon, where everything is so dramatic. And I'm like, man, I understand that. But they also said, like, they feel those are the only few people that they actually see. A lot of people love Matt. A lot of people love Andrew Steele. A lot of people love JD at Big Truck Big RV. And I'm like, well, my goal was to not make it a fairy tale, but not make it Armageddon. Give you both the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so for those of you that I met at the show that subscribed to the channel while I was sitting there talking to you, welcome. Because that's what this perspective is, either here on the podcast or here on the main channel. The other thing interesting about the feedback from customers is a lot of them felt like everything is the same. Now, I see some small differences here and there on 2025s now that I've walked some motorhomes, but they are right. Nothing really has changed. Nothing much has changed, except for interior color, interior design, exterior design. So the eye appeal is changing, but the actual methodology of doing things hasn't changed. I watched a guy that kind of walked behind me while I was videoing, and his comment was so great. It was on an Integra, and it was on Integra Vision 36C. By the way, I like that floor plan. It's like a cocktail party. But he mentioned, he goes, yeah, this is a cool floor plan, but he says, replace this with this, and this with this, and this with that, and they've built this floor plan for the last 25 years. I looked around, I'm like, holy crap, he's right. Because I was so enamored with some of the little things, like, holy crap, this is actually pretty cool. Even I get caught up in it, right? I get caught up in it, especially when I see a new floor plan that's never been built yet, or they made some major change that actually improves a floor plan. I get excited like a little schoolboy, right? Because I'm in the industry. I was in the industry. I was in the industry for a long time. But this guy just was so interesting. Then I had a family, a couple walk in that were looking at an open road 32SA, okay? And when they walked in, the salesperson was behind them. Didn't say anything. The lady said, I don't like the couch, or I like a couch. I don't like the theater seating. Why do they keep putting the theater seating in? And I looked at her, and I'm in a t-shirt, right? I got backwards cap, t-shirt on, phone in one hand, microphone in the other. I'm not filming it. I'm editing a couple of shorts. And I said, oh, well, that's simple. You can go on shopforseats.com if you bought this one, and you can replace that couch with any couch you want as long as it fits. You could do an L shape. You can do a triple sleeper sofa. You can do one with an air mattress, a sleep number mattress. I was going over all that with her. And I go, so don't let theater seating stop you. Because in some cases, the factory also offers a couch option, because I know Tiffin does. And I said, so if you do all that, you got a shot at getting what you want. You either what you want or what the factory can provide. Instead of the lady walking out of the motorhome like she was heading out in the motorhome, like, no, I'm not doing this. She stayed in the motorhome for another 20 minutes. Now, the salesperson screwed it all up. I mean, it wasn't his fault. It's hard. Being an RV salesperson at a show is extremely hard. You don't have the time with people that you would normally have on a dealership lot where you could get to know what their wants, what their needs. I'm just snappy. See, the difference between me and a lot of other RV sales guys is I'm snappy. I know when I hear something, it's automatic reaction of, oh, I have a solution for you. Not, oh, I'm going to sell you something. No, it's I have a solution for you. Sales of anything, cars, RVs, boats, they all come from solutions. If you could come up with solutions, you're going to make a sale. When there's no solutions and there's only problems, that's when people walk away. So I hope they get the used one they were looking at with the sales guy, because I think they have, obviously it's a lot less money, like 90 grand less for the used one. But again, a lot of great stuff came out from talking to you guys. Like, I'm going to go to another show today called the Miracle Mile Show in Colton, California, and I'm going to go see what that's all about. But it was for a Friday morning. It was pretty busy. I'm going to say, I mean, I know a lot of people are looky-loos and dreamers, and For some folks, they're at the beginning of their research stage where, a show is a great place that you did all this online work, looked at all this online stuff, and now it's time to walk in and touch and feel. And it's easier to touch and feel when you go to a show than it is when you go to a dealership lot, because you get to walk everything from a B to an A. Now, the only thing that most people complained about at that show was the fact there were no travel trailers or toy haulers or another dealer. And it's interesting because, I think La Mesa should invite somebody that sells towables to that show from here on out. I mean, if anybody from La Mesa RV is listening, if you're going to do a show like that, you should bring out or invite a dealer that sells just towables. Even if it's just used, right? Because, you're going to keep people there longer, and you're going to get more access to folks that are on the fence, whether, I don't know if I really want something to tow or something to drive yet. They need that back and forth where they can go from a travel trailer to a motorhome, and then go from a toy hauler to a Class C, or they can go from a big fifth wheel to a big diesel pusher and kind of get their own touch and feel out of it. You get more deals out of that than you do anything else. That all being said, I don't know if they made a lot of sales, but there were a lot of people. One piece of advice I've been giving everybody is don't wait for interest rates to drop to the bottom. Okay? So we're going to get half a point off from the Federal Reserve right now, but we don't know. See, that's the problem that most people don't understand. The Fed says this. So back in December of 2023, I said even though the Fed planned 4 interest rate cuts by spring and summer of 2024, it wasn't going to happen. And it didn't. It didn't happen till September. 9 months in. 9 months in, they finally did their first rate cut. Okay? So, how long will it really take them to get down to their target interest rate? Could it take a year? Could it take 2 years? Could it take 4 years? We don't know. We know what they say, but what they say can change depending on the economic development. If inflation goes up even slightly, they're going to go, we're not going to lower rates again yet. If they see something in the data that makes them pause, we're not going to get any more interest rate drops for a while. So don't wait because the Fed says. You're going to let an old robotic man that barely is understandable sometimes because he talks in financiese. You're going to let this guy determine whether you're going to RV or not? Come on. And at the same time, as I've said this probably for 2 years now, as interest rates drop, prices and profits will go up. Okay? Fact of life. It won't be dramatic, but you're going to see it. It's already going to happen. I guarantee you by spring 2025, if rates get cut again, prices are going to go up. Dealerships are going to hold more profit because they need to. They haven't made any money for 2 years. And if you don't think that's true, go look at an earnings report from Lazy Days RV. Oh wait, they're going out of business. How about Camping World, who lost $22 million last year? I guess they made a bunch of money losing $22 million. And a lot of you guys will say, well, couldn't it happen to a nicer set of guys? I can already see that coming. So look, until next time, remember toolkit and sense of humor.